Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm here to go over my May reads. I think this was my best reading month so far this year, and I read a total of 7 books and 1 DNF. So I started my month kind of slowly getting out of that reading slump that I mentioned, and I thought the perfect way to break that slump was with manga. And I've had Monster on my TBR for years, and I finally was able to pick up the physical copies when I was at Amkey earlier this year. So I did read volume 1 and volume 2. I don't know if I 100% knew what I was getting into when I was reading this. I knew it was going to be about a doctor, and I guess I assumed it was going to be about like the medical industry and how corrupt it is. And it is about that a little bit in the first volume. But basically, we start off kind of in the past with our main character, who is a Japanese surgeon in Germany. He's like the best surgeon there is. He does everything perfectly. We get to a point where he has to choose between saving a politician or a little boy, and he decides to save the child. We later find out that this child is not what he appears to be. There's a time jump after he saves his little boy. It's about 10 years, 9 or 10 years. And it's during like the post uh, reunification period in Germany. So you can imagine that it's a bit intense. I wish I knew that going in. I don't think I was ready for that when I was going into this. It does have horror elements, psychological, um, for sure. And I think it's only going to get deeper once we get more into the series. Next, I had a book that I actually started reading back in March, but again, I fell into my reading slump, so it kind of took a backseat, and that was Taiwan Travelogue. This met my expectations perfectly. I loved this book. There's something so special about this book. I think it was very well done. I filmed this at 3 a.m. and I was literally blanking on a lot of words when I was talking about this book. But basically, Taiwan Travelogue is a story about a Japanese writer. This is set in the 1930s. So she travels to Taiwan and plans on staying there for a year to kind of like write a book on like imperialism, whatever. The government sends her there for their like government imperialist agenda. But she's there to have a good time. She's like, I'm on vacation. And she meets um her interpreter, and they form a very close bond. It really is a story about colonialism and what it means to be friends with someone who is the oppressed and you are the oppressor, or even more than friends, because like there is an attraction between them. The story is told through food. Um, so there's like a lot of descriptions of food, and I just think it was really well done. I am obsessed with how the story was written. I just loved how everything just kind of came together and fell apart, and food was at the center of it all. I'm happy it won the Booker Prize because it was my pick from day one. Well, my day one when I first heard about it. So, but yeah, that was Taiwan Travelogue. Next, I read Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker, and I actually listened to the audiobook for this one. I'll be honest, I originally bought this for the cover, specifically this cover, because I don't know, I'm so obsessed with like the dark with like these bright colors. I don't know, I'm obsessed with whoever designed this cover It's fantastic. This didn't really do what I thought it was gonna do. Like it lost a lot of momentum for me. Like as it was wrapping up. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I don't really know what to say about this book except for it was okay. Some people have also said that there's a romance in here, and I don't know why, because it's clearly stated on both sides that they do not care for each other romantically, but rather that they have a bond that is platonic in a way. It's definitely not romantic. And then it's explained at the end why that is. So I'm not really sure why people were saying they had a romance. There was no romance. Um, but anyway, next, another booker read. We've got She Who Remains. This is about a woman who gets out of an arranged marriage by becoming a sworn virgin, which is basically renouncing her womanhood and living life as a man. And I want to give props to the author, of course, but also the translator, because I think in order to translate this type of writing where it's kind of stream of conscious, it's written almost like poetry. And I think the translation work was done super well, and they could not have been easy. It's a super short read. I think it took me like 2.5 hours to read, and I'm a slow reader. But yeah, I now that I have the physical copy, because I did originally read this from the library, I would love to read this again. Next, I read The Blueprint by Ray Gianna Rashad. This was this author's debut, and I think this was a very powerful debut. It is being compared to Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower and Margaret Atwood's, is it The Handmaid's Tale? But in it is set in an alternative United States in which Black women are concubines for powerful white government officials. And we follow one girl in particular throughout her childhood and into her adulthood, where she is a concubine for a very powerful, probably the most powerful government official. And he is obsessed with her, treats her as his property. He's had her in his possession since she was 15. I do think it's quite bold to with your debut novel, compare yourself to, Octavia Butler and Margaret Atwood. But this author writes really well, and I'm looking forward to see what else they publish in the future. Lastly, I read Severance. This is like a satire that explores kind of like the mundane, mindless routine of working in corporate and just living life under consumerism, capitalism. And the way this is explored is through an illness that sweeps the nation, um, much like COVID, but it turns people that it infects into these mindless zombies. Only a few people are not affected by this, like our main character, Candace. She is immune to this disease, and she um joins a group of other people who are uninfected, and they kind of are trying to survive in this kind of post apocalyptic world. Literally, I was getting to like not that much left of the book where it started getting so good, and it was really starting to like really hit me. And then when I'm like reading and I'm reading and then it stops, but the book ends, and I'm like, oh, okay. It definitely is trying to say something, and it does lead up to the end. I just wanted it to keep going. But yeah, those are my books of May. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye.